Hi everybody. How's everybody doing today? Today I wanted to try this activity. And this activity is basically a science experiment, and we want to see things that sink or float. And it's going to be kind of fun because I'm going to do it two different ways. On my paper here, I found this online. This side already had some pictures already put on it, and it shows me them. And on this side, I wrote some words of things that I found in my yard. So we're going to try them both. So over here, I'll quick tell you what's there. There's a crayon. There's a pencil. There's a penny. See my little penny? There's a popsicle stick. And you know what? It was really hard at my house to find a popsicle stick. I actually had to take it off of another art project I made. That's why there's a little bit of red paper on there. Silly. It's all right. A car, a toy car. Some cotton balls. And at the bottom, you'll see a marshmallow. So we're going to try those. And then on this side, I wrote some things that I found in my yard to try. A leaf. A rock, a dandelion flower, some sticks, and a pine cone. And then just for the fun of it, because we've been talking about ponds and frogs, and this morning you watched a book called Jump, Frog, Jump. I got out some plastic or rubber frogs, and we're going to see if they sink or if these float. But remember, it's just a toy and it's made out of rubber or plastic. We'll see. So you ready to help me with my experiment? And on my list it says float or sink. So if it floats, we'll mark a check next to float. And if it sinks, we'll put a check next to sink. And the same with over here. And then when we're all done, we're going to see how many items, which made more. Did I have more things that float or more things that sink? You ready to help me? And then later you can try this little activity at your house. But I have a little bowl. It looks like a fish bowl, but I don't think I had a fish in here. I think a plant actually came in it. And it's glass, so I got to be really careful. And I have some water. So I'm going to try. So I'm going to go in line. So what do you think about the crayon? You think it's going to sink or it's going to float? I don't know. I'm going to put it in. You ready to see? Let's see. What did it do? Sink is when something goes to the bottom. Did you see it fall to the bottom? Yeah, so it sinked. So let's put a check mark under sink. And then we're going to put it, I'm going to take it out and I'm going to put it in the sink, on the sink paper. All right, next is a pencil. You think the pencil's going to sink or float? Let's see. Ooh, that surprised me. It stayed on the top of the water, so that means it's floating. Wow. So I'm going to check float. I'm going to take it out and put it on float. Next is the penny. Now the penny is made of like copper or metal. What do you think it's going to do? Sink or float? I think I know. Let's try. It sinks. So let's take it out. Let's get it, Miss Brenda. I'm going to put it over here with the crayon. So we know he sinks. All right, what about the popsicle stick? Think it's going to sink or it's going to float? Let's try it. Ooh, look. It floats just like the pencil. Let's put float. What about this toy car? It's a little tricky. I don't know, because it's made out of plastic and not metal. We already know that metal will sink because we saw the penny. Do you think this plastic car will sink or float? I don't know. Let's try it. Ooh, look what it does. It actually floats, and I bet it's because it's a plastic car. I didn't have, like, you know, the little metal Hot Wheel cars. I couldn't find one of those around my house, but that's okay. So we know that it floats. All right, it's gonna get a little tricky. What do you think this cotton ball is gonna do? I don't know, let's see. Now the cotton ball is floating. I wonder what would happen if I got it all wet. Let me see. If I get it all wet, it still floats. Well, that's pretty cool. All right, I'm almost squeeze it out. I'm gonna put it with the float. Float. Now, what about the marshmallow? What do you think a marshmallow is gonna do? I think you're right. I think it's probably gonna float too. Let's see. It floats, Miss Brenda. It's kind of floating. It's kind of floating crooked. That's all right. All right, so we know that floats. So I'm going to So far right now we have more things that float and less things that sink. Right now we just have 1, 2 things that sink, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that are floating. Are you ready to try my other side now? What do you think is going to happen with the leaf? You think it's going to sink or it's going to float? I think I know, but let's see. Oh, look at, see it staying on top? So it is floating too. So I'm going to mark float. I take it out and put it on my float side. I don't know. I think float is winning this game. All right. What about the rock? It's a little rock, and I'm going to be gentle because I don't want it to break my glass bowl. What do you think this is going to do? Think it's going to sink or float? I think you're right. It's going to... It sunk. It sinks to the bottom of the bowl. You see it? All right, I'm going to get it out. I'm going to put it over here, and I'm going to mark the rock sinks. All right, what about this flower or this dandelion? Do you think it's going to float or sink? Let's see. Ooh, look how pretty. It floats on the top. All right, so I'm going to put the dandelion over here with the float. Make sure I do the right side. There you go. I almost put it on the wrong spot. What about my pine cone? You think my pine cone's going to sink or float? Let's see. Ah! I'm kind of surprised. It stayed on top, so it is floating. All right, let's take him out. Hope there's no bugs in it. I just took it out of my backyard, and I have a big tree back there, a big pine tree, and there's a lot of pine cones that are falling down. What about these sticks? Do you think these sticks will float or sink? They're little sticks. Let's see. They are floating too. Wow. So I took them out. Put them, I think float is a big winner. All right. So let's recount now. We have 1, 2, 3 objects that sink. And over here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And if I add the other stick is 10. 10 objects that float. So it tells me float has the most objects and sink has the least objects, because the least means less, means more or a bigger number and less is a smaller number. So I'm going to quick write the number 3 over here. I'm going to do it upside down. That's it. Sorry. That's 3. And then I'm going to, over here, try to write the number 10. 10 and 3. But now I want to see if we can make these frogs jump. Frog jump. I'm going to put them up here on the edge. I want to see if, oh, he fell in. Did that frog sink or did that frog float? They sink. And you know why? Because they're kind of heavy and they're made out of rubber. But would a real frog sink or will a real frog float? I bet we know, because we know that frogs can swim. So they know how to stay on top of the water, but they also know how to swim really good so they can go under the water. But these toy ones sink, just like the penny, the crayon, and the rock. So wasn't that a fun little experiment? Maybe you can try today at your house. I bet your mom or your dad or your family, somebody in your family will give you some kind of little container or bowl or a bucket. Put some water in it. And I bet you can find some toys or other things around your house that you can try, and you can make your own sink or float boards like I did, and see if you can find what has more. I hope you had fun. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.